Hello, my name is Prod Mace, owner and founder of Prod Mace Audio, inspiring you to ignite the flame of your passion. And today I'm going to be talking about how everything in your life is a tool. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we go back to our roots in elementary school, we were taught that a pencil is a tool, an eraser is a tool, or a computer is a tool. But a tool, by definition, is something that is made to be used for a bigger purpose. And more than likely, probably a purpose in a positive sense. You can use a pencil to hurt someone, but you can also use a pencil to draw. So the tool itself is indifferent to the implications and application of the person using it, right? So, how is everything in your life a tool? Anything that you've experienced can always be used for a greater purpose. And it can always be used for a positive or negative purpose. Say, for instance, if you're fired from your job, that experience can be used in a positive sense or a negative sense. You can use the tool of being fired as a way of looking at your self worth, your self esteem, your ability to contribute to a society, and other things in a negative sense. Or you could look at it as you aren't really passionate about giving your time, energy, and effort to an organization that doesn't truly value you. And that's probably more proactive because you can do something about that. Meaning you can find an organization or find a place or find some sort of purpose driven system that you would want to put your time and energy into, right? Rather than focusing on the fact that, you know, being fired is negative or it can have negative implications. Focus on how it can be used in a proactive and positive way to succeed at something. And that's what I mean by everything is a tool. And like I mentioned, a tool is something used for a greater purpose. You can use your failure, your difficulty, your struggles as a way of succeeding. And in most cases, that's the only way to succeed is to learn from failures. I don't think any truly successful person on like the pinnacle of success has ever not failed. It's like there's always a, trail of mistakes and bad ideas and bad actions they were partakers in that led them to their success. A lot of times falling and messing up is the best way to not do that and optimize your growth. And I mentioned optimization in the sense that a tool can be used to optimize and enhance a specific task. Say, for instance, if you have a drawing tablet, you use that drawing tablet, say if you're an artist, as a tool to enhance and optimize your drawing process. It allows you to draw more faster. You can undo and erase things without having to mess up the paper, and you have infinite pages to draw on. There's no limit to how long and how intensely you can draw because there's no limit on how much paper you have because you don't use paper, you use a tablet. And the tablet's able to change its appearance at the, wave of a tablet pencil. So that tool is optimizing your task and enhancing your task so that it can be done more efficiently and fast and better. Everything in life is like that tablet in the sense that it can be used to optimize and enhance whatever task you're currently trying to achieve. And I'll give another example. Let's say you're a musician and you want to optimize, your musicianship and your musical skill. Obviously, playing an instrument is very difficult. It takes time, it takes dedication, it takes years. But to make that process, that long process, a lot more streamlined, take inventory of the things you're not good at. Take inventory of the things that you struggle with. Take inventory of the, parts of a piece or musical theory that you don't understand. Take inventory of all those negative aspects and optimize them. Just improve them by 1% every day. Say, for instance, you can't play an arpeggio of, a certain key or on a certain instrument. Just get better at playing the first four notes of that arpeggio. If it's, say, a 7 note chord broken apart, just play 2 notes of that chord and you'll have half of the arpeggio and just make it so that you can do that so quickly. and then you add the other third note and then the fourth note. And by the end, you have that arpeggio in your pocket and you can play it like super easily, and you don't need to try to figure out, okay, where's the hand placement or what notes do I play for this arpeggio or what key it's in, because you automatically know, okay, because I've optimized my struggle with this and I've enhanced it, I know that it's now a tool of mine that can be greatly for my advantage, rather than if you're on the negative side of looking at how that difficulty is frustrating or annoying or hinders your success or your notoriety among you musicians. You might, in a negative sense, decide not to play those kind of arpeggios or not to play those kinds of instruments, or to avoid certain difficult musical pieces for the sake that you don't want to embarrass yourself. But that ultimately leads to you not learning and you not improving and you not perfecting your craft. And as a musician or an artist or a craftsman or even an architect, any person that has to design something, perfecting your craft is the most important thing. It's the primary purpose of deciding to do a creative career in the first place, is that you want to perfect it. And perfection is obviously not something that anybody can actually attain, but it's something that you strive for. And in the pursuit of it, you become much better than you were. I think that's the most important aspect of using everything in your life as a tool, is that it allows you to become much better than you were. 1% improvement every day is better than 0% improvement for your whole life, you know, and that's the simple optimization and improvement. And it takes time, yes, but it's worth it if you actually want to be successful at something, So looking at every opportunity you have as a tool to improve. And like I mentioned, a lot of times it's easy when the experience is negative. It's a lot harder when it's easy when the experience is positive. It's a lot harder when the experience is negative, because in negative experiences, we naturally have a negative pattern of thought. But interestingly, having a positive pattern of thought about negative experiences is how you're able to overcome any situation. If you can experience something negatively, but instead of having a knee-jerk negative response or reaction, you have a knee-jerk positive response, then you're going to be much more successful at your career or skills than, say, someone who automatically gets overwhelmed by the difficult situation. Another example might be in regards to, let's say, math. If you're struggling with math, figure out the things that you struggle with and just improve those things in a small percentage every day. Don't really focus on whether or not you're good at it, because that's another thing is, interestingly, it's like when you try to identify your struggle with yourself, you're more than likely going to go down a negative pattern of thought, because you're going to exhaust your ability. It's like trying to push a ball down a hill and try to get it to go slowly. It's very hard, and it doesn't make sense to do that. And just like it doesn't make sense to think negatively about what you're not good at. You're trying to push a ball down a hill slowly. Just let the ball fall. And that's sometimes what you have to do, is let the ball fall, mess up, make a mistake, and don't necessarily get frustrated about it. Obviously, you'll get frustrated, but don't worry about the frustration. Focus on what can you do better next time, and just simply enhance your mistakes. And if anything, your mistakes should be your strong suit. To make your mistakes or your failures or your struggles your strong suit is like a superpower almost, because almost nobody has that level of resolve in what they want to get better at. To use everything in your life as a tool in a positive sense is very difficult in application of your life. because another paradox is the simplest principles are the hardest ones to apply because they're so simple. They're so in plain sight. And sometimes the easiest ones to apply are the really complicated, wordy ones that take a whole, college lecture because, you can actually see how you can do it. And interestingly, the most innovative solutions are the ones that are simply made but difficultly executed. And the more mundane innovations or the more mundane processes are the ones that are super complicated and robust, but are really easy to apply because you don't have to really think that much. And that's the other thing is being able to see everything as a tool is a thought process. It's not unless you've done it for several years, it's not an intuitive process. It's not an intuitive action. It's a very effortful and laborious task to see everything as a tool because that means you have to do it all the time. Every minute of your life, you're seeing everything as a tool and every situation as a tool, every person as a tool, every benefit as a tool, every difficulty as a tool. It's a constant practice and a constant exercise of the mind's resolve. And it's persistence and perseverance. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's very difficult. Trust me, I know. I've tried it and it's very difficult. I fail at it a lot. But like I mentioned, when you fail, optimize your mistakes. Figure out what you aren't good at and optimize that. And not only optimize it, but see whether or not you not being good at that thing is harmful to your success. And sometimes it won't be apparent until you've gotten to a certain point in your career or your achievements that your mistakes are very harmful to what the next level will be, your ability to get to that next level. But you won't know that until you get to a certain point. But more than likely, you can see the more prevalent implications of your mistakes and failings and whether or not they debilitate your ability to succeed. And with that in knowledge, you can figure, okay, if I'm not good at this, is this Achilles really going to hurt my success? Yes or no? It's a simple yes or no question. And that yes or no is based off of whether or not you've actually evaluated the importance of that Achilles, that mistake, that difficulty, that struggle. Say for instance, like I mentioned, I like to give simple examples. If you're an artist and you struggle with gesture drawing, but you're mostly doing landscape paintings, you mostly get commissions for landscape paintings, your ability to gesture draw a person or portrait of a person, if it's not that good, it's not going to be harmful being bad at it. What will be harmful is not being able to say, if you're a landscape painter, drawing trees or drawing buildings or drawing architecture or drawing, figures in space, as like objects in space. That not being good at that will be harmful. That Achilles will hurt you. But the Achilles of, not being able to draw gesture people as gesture drawings, that Achilles won't hurt your skill and it won't hurt your success. So that's what I mean, where you have to take inventory on what are the Achilles that are really harmful and what are the Achilles that aren't. Say, for instance, if you're a mathematician and, you get high marks in specifically calculus and you're able to just whiz right through the classes, but your highest mark is based off whether or not you can do calculus, algebra, and maybe another scientific class very well. You have to get all those grades, high numbers. If your success in graduating is based off of all three of those, that means your struggle with all three is an Achilles that will hurt you. So if you're not good at all three, that means you'll fail, right? So you have to be good at all three of those Achilles. You have to make all your failures and mistakes your strengths. And if you can't do that, you won't succeed. And this is where context of success comes into play. What is the context for which gives you the success? What is the situation what are the prerequisites for success? And what does that context look like? And then once you know that, you can better evaluate what the Achilles are for that prerequisite of success and whether or not they will be harmful or not harmful. And it's pointless to get mad about an Achilles that doesn't hurt you. It's more purposeful to focus on Achilles that does hurt you. And by hurt, I just simply mean debilitates your ability to succeed. If you can't succeed because you suck at something, figure out why you suck at it and get better at it. It's that simple. And if you can't get better at it, maybe in a month, figure out how to get better at it, in a year or 2 years. And that's the other thing is timeline adds to the context of whether or not you can be successful at something. Because if you're trying to be successful at playing soccer in a month, you're trying to get into the major professional league of soccer in a month, you're insane because there's absolutely no way. You would need an extreme amount of dedication, skill, and coaching. And even with all that, you still wouldn't make it in a month because people do that over decades. Whether they start at, say, 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 or 13, regardless, they start at a very young age. And in sports fields, it's make or break based off of how young you start. Tiger Woods, I believe, started at 3 or 4 years old playing golf. And his dad was coaching him to putt and, hit holes at that age. For you to think that you can succeed at something in such a short period of time is ludicrous. You have to be realistic as much as you are practical. And as much as you are proactive, you have to be evaluative of the facts. And it's not it's cut and dry, genetics is all that matters. Or if you start young, then you're bound to succeed, because some of the most successful people have gone into extreme depressions and self-value debilitation, bad situations, vices, and all these things based off the fact that the pressure they couldn't bear. So, sometimes you have to weigh in, do I really want this bad? Or am I just chasing the fame and accolades? And if you're chasing the fame and accolades, then you're never going to get to their point in the first place. But even if you did, you would suffer just as much as they do in the mental and emotional, because it can't be based off of that. It has to be based off of something deeper. And trying to bring it full circle about everything as a tool, finding what it is that is your Achilles, using that as a tool, and then understanding the context and prerequisites to succeeding, making that Achilles a strength, takes time and it takes effort and energy, like most things. You can't put in 100% and not get at least 100% back, So with that being said, if you were trying to put 5% in and get 100% back, it's not going to happen. And you'll be disappointed and you'll be frustrated, but it's just not going to happen. And that's the reality of certain situations, is you have to optimize before you can, You have to optimize before you can scale. And scaling means going on to the next level. And if you haven't optimized, you can't scale at all, because that's all the most successful people do. They simply optimize their weakest points till they become strong. And those weak points become strengths and advantages. And unless you're doing that, you're not going to get very far at anything. You have to be evaluative. You have to analyze your mistakes, your struggles, your Achilles, and optimize and enhance them. Make them better just by 1% every day. Like I mentioned, it's a life process in most cases when it comes to being better at something. And using everything as a tool, it's a life process. Like I mentioned, it's very difficult to do that, to see everything you experience as a tool, because you have to be vigilant, you have to be dedicated, and you have to persevere even in the most darkest of times. When you're struggling the most, that's when it's most important to get through it. And that goes for, I guess, life advice as well, because any sort of struggle you go through in your life can be applied to both your career and your life. Like if you're struggling to get your finances in order, or you're struggling with family issues, or you're struggling with whatever it might be, you have to figure out how to optimize this and just improve it every single day. So even your life struggles can translate into career improvements, because if you learn from them, you can apply that learned knowledge to anything. It becomes universal, and now it becomes your advantage, because a lot of times life isn't fair, and certain people have more stronger advantages than others, and that's just a fact. And once you realize that, you can either be upset about it, it's like, oh, life isn't fair, everybody's cheating, or you can figure out how to get in that same class of people, how to get in that same class of highly successful, highly optimized, and highly perseverant and proactive and focused. It's very difficult and very, very intense, but it has so many rewards, and it has such opulent benefits, you know. So yeah, everything's a tool. Everything has a way to be used. You can use, AI to make anything just as much as you can use a pencil to make anything. You can use, your experiences from your day job to improve your skills at your graphic design course in college, right? Because you have certain experiences that are unique to you, and transferring that, like, I mean, if you're working a day job where you're slicing meat, of course, you're not going to be able to use the skill of slicing meat to slice through your drawing tablet, right? If you're doing graphic design. But what you can use is the understanding of contour and shape and craftsmanship and perseverance and design, and making sure that things are clean cut. Like if you're cutting deli meat in a deli in your day job, like, okay, and you go home and then go to your night classes and you have to take graphic design studies, you understand what a sharp line looks like. You understand what a contour looks like. You understand how, a certain shape feels different from another shape. And that's not just based off of, understanding shapes themselves, but also you could say from your experience slicing meat, you have to cut meat a certain shape. And you also have to make sure it's a certain weight, and you have to make sure that it's a certain thickness or thinness according to the customer. And why do they want certain slices of meat? Well, they want it for this purpose or that purpose. Well, in the same sense, why do people want certain designs? They want it for this purpose or that purpose, right? So see how the applicable nature of anything you learn from becomes universal when you really learn from it. And that's what I mean by everything can be used as a tool. So hope this video was helpful to any person in their pursuance of either their career, community, or just wanting to improve themselves. And if it was, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. My name is Proud Mace, owner and founder of Proud Mace Audio, inspiring you to ignite the passion in your life. Thanks for watching. Bye.